Okay, hello. I'm Catherine Carter. This is a reading for LSU Press, and I don't know if we should give it a minute to see if people join or just proceed here. But if you are here, I am glad you are here. I am going to begin by thanking LSU Press, who has set this up, and LB Kovac, who is in charge of our digital feed here. Hi, Candy. Welcome. I think I will give it just a minute because it looks like people are still joining. So I will wave as you join. Hello, Margaret. Welcome. Hello, Ben. We're giving it just a moment for people to get set up and joined, and then I will begin. We are live. Brian, do you want to join? Hello, Zoe. Hello, Andrew. Welcome. We're giving it just a minute for people to get their feed set up and everybody joined. Okay, I think I will go ahead and begin. Once again, thanks to LSU and to LB Kovac for setting this up. I'm going to read some poems, mostly from my most recent book, Larvae of the Nearest Stars, which LSU has mercifully and blessedly published. And I'm going to try to read fairly cheerful poems because I think probably we all need that. Welcome, Nora. Hello. Anna, hello. Welcome. I am starting with a poem which is not in the new book. This appeared just recently in Rhino. And hello, Will. Welcome. And this is an ode of sorts, and as many of you already know, odes are poems of celebration. They are poems which kind of hymn things, and there are a raft of exciting formal requirements or guidelines like the Pirates Code, which dictate the production of odes. But a lot of contemporary odes are free verse odes, and they may or may not follow those guidelines. What a lot of contemporary odes have in common is their celebration of things which are not normally celebrated. And this one is no exception to that rule. This is an ode to the anus. And there are not a great many odes to the anus out there. I went looking, as you might imagine, and I did find one, a one-time only collaboration between Rimbaud and Baudelaire, the symbolist poets of the 19th century. It's a very strange poem. Mine is marginally less so. It is a poem rich in allusion and sometimes jokes, and the only one that probably needs explanation. There is a line quite late in the poem about the old abbot shitting in the withered fields, and that is a more or less verbatim haiku from the haiku master Yosabu-san. It's sort of a parable of renewal. So I'm going to go right into Ode Anus, and I hope you may enjoy it. Asshole, they call you, lowest and darkest of the low and the dark, but of all jokes, mouth of the blast, vent for the Anglo-Saxon fart and shit, hidden lip with no tongue. There are few hymns to you, muscular and grave and diligent anus, monastery novice faithfully shoveling soil each day to channel away all we can't use, simple lifer, minimalist declutterer, with more faith and discipline than Marie or Martha, who also have anuses. And though Dante crawled down Satan's haunch toward a summoner's den of damned friars, though Absalon kissed Alisun's nether Ea, neither Dante nor Chaucer praised your keen feeling. Neither your deep exorcisms, your casting out of what possesses us so piercing that some have tiled red pentacles round the base of porcelain toilet pedestals, arcane stars to fence in what the bowel summons up and what you, anus, put down, expelling Gothmog, demon lord of the abyss, in exuberant relief akin to that of the crow spattering white over newly painted porch railings. No, nor your power of pain, rending cramps, unzip rip of the all but healed fissure, reducing even the strong to whimpers, voiceless endurance of bees who die rather than defile the hive, desperate anal vents locked tight. Freud, who also had, etc., etc., thought art was feces and money was feces, but barely praised you, organ of the creation of space, sacred rat of black passages where famously no sun shines, much mocked, unloved asshole, living ring of muscle and nerve, splitting wood, carrying water, his holiness the abbot shitting in the withered field, zen of the letting go, local god at the lintel, who opens the way from this second into the next, each second wholly and inescapably its own here and now, each one equally holy. So welcome those who have just joined. If you are still standing after that, I am going to move into the more recent book, Larvae of the Nearest Stars, and I'm going to read a poem called Late to the Party. And the party mentioned is the party of outrage. And it came to be because some years ago, in fact in 2016, I had occasion to remark that people like me were coming late to the party of outrage. And when you say a thing like that, then you have to think about what the party of outrage is like, what kinds of snacks they serve, who is there. And that is where this poem came to be. And to write it, I had to create a hopefully much worse version of myself to visit the party. And I fictionalized a couple of friends called Tiffany and Madison to go there with me. So this is Late to the Party. It's not much of a party, though some of the people are beautiful, their songs throbbing deeper than rivers, their door grates scrolled with an iron tree of life. Few really want to go to the party of outrage, all that ugly knowledge baked into the crackers like arsenic, dissolved in the water like lead. It's been going on 500 years, or 10,000. Everyone's tired. The toilets are all stopped up. The crowd surges thick as blades of dying grass. A fire of chairs reeks and smokes on the bathroom floor, where a uniformed man clutches himself in his arms, choking back whimpers. Stacked against the walls are half-sized coffins. One woman, her ankles fluid-puffed and veins blazing in her eyes, holds another who is weeping softly with exhaustion. Like two great trees propping each other up, black walnuts, tulip poplars, they keep standing, no place to sit down. We are late to the party and reap cynical glances. Only now? Madison makes remarks about how things are done here. The crack on the kitchen table. No Pinot Grigio. Slits her eyes at a teenage boy shrieking curses out the splintered window. Tiffany whispers that she doesn't feel very welcome, while a tattooed girl with a rope burn on her neck rolls a black eye. I think that despite my outrage, myself, I could really stand a night off, watch Special Victims. This isn't the only party in this burning city. Not for us, not yet. When we leave, swearing we'll be back tomorrow. No one follows. This is where they live. The next poem is about my life as a clumsy person. Perhaps some of you are also clumsy people, and if so, perhaps you can relate. It is called Disaster Walking, and it begins with sort of a loose quote from the Hindu epic, the Mahabharata. And that is not just because I want to seem, educated and well-read, although of course that plays a role, but also it is there because Robert Oppenheimer, the scientist involved in the Manhattan Project, is supposed to have repeated this quotation after the first successful tests of the atomic bomb, and that is often what I feel like. Disaster walking. I am come like time, the waster of peoples, like death, the destroyer of worlds. Where the marsh shelters a rare sea aster, there I trip, stagger, and crush. Where a sprinkler head lurks in long grass, there my blind heel falls, smashing and shattering. If the lid of a jar in the cupboard is loose, that jar I seize, and the ensuing crash, the splash of vinegar and glass, are vast. These feet are drawn to slicks of algae, plasters of mud, these shins to sharp corners, these fingers to burners that blister, and ratchets that bruise. I bite my own cheeks, poke my own eyes. The sleeve of my shirt snags the toilet paper holder, yanks it right out of the wall. If I tug on a shade, it unfurls forever. Never master of my hands, avatar of chaos and entropy, I stumble across the earth's crust, slipping, dropping, doing damage. Sometimes slow, sometimes fast as a javelin, hurled by some three-eyed god of not so random. At last, even my mother said, "You are a walking disaster." And who should know better than she, who opened the gates of flesh to free me, who loosed me upon this world. I have two more. One is this is called Our Lady of the Bagels, and it is a sort of ode in its small way to one of the people who works at the campus bagel shop, Carlene. Our Lady of the Bagels. We don't know where she comes from, are ashamed to ask. Who, over 50, chooses to stand 8 hours, 10, slicing bagels, scraping spread? Serving, dispensing the bread of life, Our Lady of the Bagels, Carlene. I take bread and cheese from her hard hands, or maybe straight from her mouth, tugged out along with silk shirts and silver forks and decades of education, a magician for whom there is no end to the tricks or the riches, whose weary assistant lives on tips. What'll it be, she says? Sesame seed, grown in the home of the oldest gods. Asiago cheese, flown across continents. Wrinkled raisins and cinnamon bark. I want everything, I say. Give me everything. And with no other word, she does. I guess that could have been more cheerful, but we are wrapping up here with a slightly more cheerful poem about one of those times when I met a famous poet, and they call it walking down the stairs, the fact that you only think of something clever to say much later when it's too late, l'esprit d'escalier. And so this is about the first time I met Billy Collins, and at the time he was the Poet Laureate of the United States. He had just been appointed. So Billy Collins pours me a beer. First came the writer's softball game, the lithe and the clumsy, hustling and scrambling together in June heat, the gangly man on second, Billy something. I was deep in right field, safe from falling balls, reading the grass for carrion daisies and lucky leaves of clover, until someone yelled, "Run, you poet laureate!" Oh, that Billy. Afterwards, I met him at the station of the keg, where he drew me a plastic cup of pointed silver bubbles in modest domestic amber. I have to say something, I thought, slightly dazed, like someone grazed by a softball. I have to sound smart. Nothing. No nice lanyard. No, Baudelaire calls me his brother. All those words, and I found only two. Though I think now, if I had to choose, there are worse words than those we offer bartenders for scotch, heaven for unearned grace, or Mary Watkins, who cleans the office, for her long labor with the heavy mop, for the brief order she drags out of all that star litter's primal cruelty and decay, over and over, one more time, one more day. Thank you, I said, turning away, like I hadn't heard, like I didn't know, like I'd never read a word. And I will say thank you as well to all of you for coming. And if anyone has questions, doubts, jeers, death threats, you can either post them in the chat, or you may have the option to speak verbally also. I'm not sure about that. Okay, well, thank you so much, and I will end the video now, and if any of you would like to connect on Facebook, it is always nice to talk to you. Take care.